Last week, Canon released firmware updates for the R3, the R5, the R5 Mark II, and even the R6 Mark III, a camera that most of us haven't yet received. Today, Canon released firmware 1.2 for the R1. Did Canon release any new capabilities like OpenGate that the R5 Mark II didn't get last week? Did I encounter any autofocus issues while shooting in sub-zero temperatures Saturday night, covering the local Christmas parade? Click subscribe and we'll get right to it. It means more to us than getting new camera gear under the Christmas tree on December the 25th. Hi, I'm Simon. I love scanning the news and rumor sites, the patent applications, and all the pro forums so that you don't have to. Now last week, Canon released a slew of firmware updates, but oddly left out the Canon EOS R1, their flagship mirrorless camera that was released alongside the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, which did get a firmware update. But this morning, that oversight was corrected with firmware 1.2. It adds support for the EOS Multi-Remote, a remote shooting system for professional photographers, fixes an issue in which image transfers to an FTP server might fail, giving us that nasty error 41 message, and fixes an issue that in rare instances may prevent certain CF Express cards from being formatted within the camera. An issue that I discovered firsthand when Canon upgraded to 1.1.0 on the R5 Mark II. I downloaded the firmware update, and because I had a 4TB CF Express card, well, I went ahead and put it inside the R5 Mark II. And guess what happened? The camera completely froze. It bricked. I couldn't do anything with it. Changing the buttons or pressing the buttons, nothing. Nothing happened. I actually had to pull the battery, restart it, and if the CF Express card was still in it, I had to pull it out. Now, the CF Express card was formatted. It was being used, and I didn't have any problems with it. I'd been using it for about a year. So I thought, okay, well, let's try reformatting it. I couldn't format it in the camera, so I tried formatting it on my Mac. And guess what? I tried APFS, I tried exFAT. It wouldn't work. So I thought, okay. Well, I remember I was able to use this card, the 4TB card inside the Canon EOS R5, the Mark I, which I still have, and it's shooting this video right here. So I thought, well, okay. Now, it doesn't support the full 4TB, at least not with the firmware version that I had, but it did recognize the card and allowed me to format it to about 2TB. So I thought, okay, let's put it in the R5 Mark I. I put it in, closed the door, and the camera came alive. No issues. So I thought, okay, let's see if we can format it. So I went to format it, and guess what? The menus were responding. It allowed me to press the format. It recognized the card, and guess what? I was able to format it, and guess what? No issues whatsoever. So I thought, well, okay, now it's time to put it back in the R5 Mark II and see what happens. Does it brick or does it work? It recognized the card. I then formatted it, and guess what? I got the full capacity of 4TB. So I did a couple of detailed videos about that. I reached out to Canon. I said, look, this is the issue that I'm having. Here's the video. And I remember having one conversation with one gentleman, and he said, well, it looks like it's not an issue. It could be related to the Angelbird, the card manufacturer. And I said, well, you know, let's assume that is the case. Let's assume there is something even in the partition table. Let's assume that that's a possibility. The error trapping in the R5 Mark II is terrible. It shouldn't brick the camera. It should just come up with a message saying, I'm sorry, buddy, I just don't recognize this card, and give me the option to, you know, take the card out or format it. But it didn't do that. It bricked it. So I'm happy to report that with firmware 1.2 for the R5 Mark II and the R1, that issue's been fixed. So the issue that I had is no longer there. And we have just one more fix that Canon provided with the R1, but the R5 Mark II got it as well. Canon addressed various other improvements to system stability. And that's pretty much how Canon finishes off every firmware update with various other updates without detailing what those various other updates were. Now, the R1 essentially got the exact same update as the R5 Mark II did last week. And I applied firmware 1.2.0 after I downloaded it, and the installation went without any issues. It took about, I'd say about 10 minutes to apply. And I spent Saturday night in sub-zero temperatures covering a local Christmas parade. I didn't have any glitches. The camera didn't freeze. It worked flawlessly all night. And the extra dynamic range really helped me in preserving the details in the shadows while also keeping the details in the highlights. A very challenging shooting scenario, using the street lights and the store lights for extra lighting. My R5 Mark II was paired with a 50mm f1.4, and the battery grip was only halfway charged. I was looking for problems, but I didn't have any. In fact, I haven't had any operational issues since firmware 1.0.1 in September of 2024. Well, that's not exactly correct. After applying firmware 1.0.3, I did have some autofocus issues in April in the cold mornings with a temperature of between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius, shooting with the 100 to 500mm. But I haven't had any issues since with the autofocus system and certainly didn't have any Saturday night. Now, could the cold have played an impact in correlation with the Canon RF 100 to 500mm? Well, perhaps, and perhaps I should have shot with the 100 to 500mm Saturday night. Either way, I'm going to have to wait until next year to see what happens, but the issues were reproducible in the spring with the 100 to 500mm with firmware 1.0.3, and I had another R5 with me at the time with 1.0.2, and it didn't have the issues. Now, I do appreciate these, well, continued updates from Canon. 6 firmware updates since the camera came out in August of 2024. They fixed various issues and added some functionality, but nothing major, not yet. Now, some are upset with Canon for not adding OpenGate and other big new capabilities. But you see, Canon never promised anything. They delivered a camera based on what they promised to be in that camera and never said, oh, by the way, here's our schedule, our roadmap for providing any updates. And if you know Canon or any other camera manufacturer, they don't believe in roadmaps of any kind. I remember, well, this camera here, the 70D, I've had it for, I guess, 13 odd years now, and I think we received 3 firmware updates over its lifetime, and we got a couple of fixes. Nothing major and no major updates. We're about 2.5 years from the next major refresh of the 5 series. So there's still a chance that Canon could surprise us with some great new capabilities. But at this point, and this might sound weird, but all I really care about is operational stability. I've been shooting with the R5 for almost 6 years now. And when I first got that camera, I had this pulsating neck vein whenever I go shooting because we had the overheating. We had so many issues at the beginning. But with the R5 Mark II, other than some issues with not being able to save settings to the custom buttons and some of those autofocus issues, I haven't really had any problems. And those autofocus issues that I had between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius, around 32 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, I never had them since. So I think it might have been localized to a particular firmware update in particular temperatures with a particular lens in a particular lighting scenario. I don't know. I haven't been able to reproduce it since. I've tried different settings, but I haven't had the temperature range. So come April, I'll be out there trying it again. What about you? Are you still looking for new capabilities like OpenGate? Or like me, do you just care about operational stability? Now, I think for me, the reason for that feeling is the R5 Mark II gives me pretty well everything I need at this point in my career and, well, my skill set. So it's not that I'm saying, you know what, Canon, everything you give me is great. If you followed my channel through the past 6 years, I was pretty critical of Canon and what could be done with their firmware updates. This time around, I'm pretty happy, and I'll have to wait until April to see if some of those issues that I had with the autofocus with the 100 to 500mm reproduced. And I did have some customers, or some, they're not my customers, Canon customers, reach out to me and tell me that they had some similar issues. But now for some exciting year-end news for those that always wanted the R5 but thought it was too expensive. We've got the best deal ever at a new low price of $25.99, and that's for the Mark I. The R5c also receives its lowest price ever of $29.99. And the R5 Mark II is also at its lowest price ever of $38.99. The Z8 is $34.96 and the Z9 $51.96. Panasonic has the GH7 at $1797, and the S5 Mark II is $500 off, while Sony's offering $900 off the A7 R5 and $700 off the A7 IV. And if you're interested in taking advantage of some of these really great deals, I'm excited because I'm seeing the best deals I've ever seen on a lot of cameras, and at a time where prices for everything else keeps going up, it's nice to see that our cameras, things that we really enjoy, are coming down to the lowest prices we've ever seen, and that's a really, really good thing. So if you live in the United States, please consider using my affiliate links to B&H and Adorama. I just added Adorama back on. They switched platforms, so it took a while to get that set up. So there were no issues with Adorama, just in case some people were wondering. And if you're in the UK, well, we have Wex photo and video links, and for the rest of Europe, we have Photocop. So if you are interested in purchasing anything that I've talked about in this video, or any of your camera gear, please consider using my affiliate links in the future, because it really does help keep the lights on. It helps support this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay anything extra. You just click on my link, you put everything you want in your cart, and when you check out, sometime thereafter, I get a small commission back of anywhere from 1.5% to 4%, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you so much, folks. Have yourself a great day, a great week, and for those of you living in the United States, a very happy Thanksgiving. I used to live in the United States, and I know that Thanksgiving is your biggest holiday of the year. Some people might think it's Christmas. It's not. It's Thanksgiving. And you just have a few more work days before you can enjoy the marvels of travel, flight delays, and lost luggage. How I envy you. I'm going to have to wait until next June before I can have the same luxury. And for the rest of you, keep your eyes out for the best deals ever. This Black Friday shopping, the best deals of the year, is no longer just a US or a Canadian thing. It is like Halloween worldwide, whether you like it or not. Thanks for giving me the time of day, folks. It's very much appreciated. Have yourself a very happy Thanksgiving in the United States, and we'll see each other again soon. I think things are going to pick up a little bit here. But Thursday, I'm not planning on putting out any videos Thursday and Friday because, well, I've tried it in the past and they just don't get any views. And people say, oh, you should do something like this. I did it on Thursday and Friday and nobody saw it. So I'll probably do videos for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we're probably going to have to wait till the weekend or next week. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye now.